Right, everyone, the last meeting of 2025 on Zoom. I have a question here that someone would like answering, and then obviously we can open it up to any questions that you have. The question I've been given is about a quote by Jackie James. For those that don't know, Jackie James was the co-founder of the House of Inner Tranquility with her husband, Alan James. They're both trained in the Theravadan Vipassana tradition. They had a teacher called the Venerable Kapilawado Bhikkhu, who was an ordained monk in Thailand. They trained in the 70s. They both together realized the cessation of suffering through developing wisdom in just the way that we still teach it today. And they decided to start a meditation center to help other people who wanted to realize freedom from suffering themselves. And the quote, which I've always loved this quote, it's one of my favorite Jackie quotes, is this: it's not that you get rid of the things that you find hard to handle. What you get rid of is finding them hard to handle. And that needs careful consideration. The questioner asks, I'm assuming she means the internal hindrances, not just external hindrances and life situations. In other words, whatever arises, absolutely. There's no real division between, what we call internal and external. Everything conforms to the same basic laws of existence, whether they're internal or whether they're external. So absolutely. To repeat the quote again, just in case you've never heard it before, it's not that you get rid of the things that you find hard to handle. What you get rid of is finding them hard to handle. So what are the things that we find hard to handle? And why do we find them hard to handle? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. I might just repeat the little anecdote I gave before the meditation. We had to drive into London on a Saturday afternoon. It was going to be very busy, and it was. There are so many potential problems with the mechanical problems with the car, other car users on the journey, all the various traffic laws that have to be abided by. What do you do in a box junction? All these kinds of things. Lots of potential problems. Weather, daytime, and then driving back at night. And we took the view that we were going to treat everything that came our way as helping us to our destination safely and happily. And because we took that attitude, we didn't linger on the traffic jams. We weren't troubled by the traffic jams, because the traffic jams were helping us reach our destination. How does that relate to Jackie's quote? Well, why do we find things hard to handle? What's going on? Would anyone like to join in and offer some thoughts? Why do we find things hard to handle? And what does it mean getting rid of finding things hard to handle? Jim, hi. You made it back to Canada in one piece, I see.
Yes, I did. Funnily enough, your intro talk reminded me of my flight back, because at one point I reflected, this plane is made of like a million bolts or screws or welded joints or rivets or something. And just a few of them could fail and boom. But at the same time, I recognize the type of thinking and I just let it go quickly. It didn't matter. I can't do anything about it anyways if something fails. So
Yes, so there was a willingness to let go and allow things to flow and be whatever they wanted to be, because there was a recognition that you didn't actually have any control.
yeah.
Now, what can we learn
Yeah.
from this, Jim?
If we want to go into multiple lifetimes too, maybe it would be a good thing for me to
Well, I was
form.
thinking that would get you to destination pretty darn quick, wouldn't it?
Yes. Anyways, to your question, I think we've got this lifelong habit of dividing the world into good things and bad things, and we
Mhm.
kind of resist the bad things, and that's what causes the pain. Just this
Why?
morning, I was working with some
Yes.
data and it didn't make sense, and I was struggling with it a bit, and I didn't like it. But of course, the database is the database, and it's not my choice. I got to understand it. Um, but yeah, things we resist anything that we feel is getting in our way, and in meditation, that can be any kind of distracted thought or doubt or
No,
whatever else
no
shows
such
up.
thing as distraction in meditation, but I take your point.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the illusion. We feel it's distraction.
Exactly. We assume it is a distraction. We have created a model of meditation in our minds, what we believe it's supposed to be, what is allowed to be there, and what is not allowed to be there. And we call the things that aren't allowed to be there distractions.
Yeah.
When in actual fact, they are just things. There is no moral distinction.
Hmm.
That the moral distinction comes from having created this idea of what meditation should be, and then making all these comparisons about whether this particular item is included and noted and observed. What? Why? How can there be such a thing as a distraction in meditation? There cannot be any such thing unless
Yeah.
we've created that illusory definition. I mean, really, there's no such thing as meditation. We're just sitting with our eyes closed, noting things. Yet we create this idea of meditation as being this thing, this special thing, this thing that we compartmentalize, which is different from the rest of life, which is why, again, I say that Jackie's quote, whether it refers to internal things or external things, is a mute point because it refers to all things. And because your comments were so rich, I get so much from them, Jim,
Thanks.
it's the control thing. It's like the illusory nature of control, that we believe that we can control the kinds of sounds that arise in meditation.
Mm.
What a laugh. You can only respond to something that's already happened. So where's the control there? And so we get all uppity because there's a pain here or there's a sound over there we don't like or whatever might be going on. And it's you absolutely hit the nail on the head. It's the resistance to it. And the resistance to it is based in ignorance, mental blindness,
Mm.
not knowing or seeing things as they truly are. Because once you see things as they truly are, you go, well, I've got no control over this. And the net result of recognizing you've got no control is surrender, letting go, letting be.
Yeah, especially if the phenomena's just died anyways, it's gone. It's finally.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's perfect.
Mm.
And yet, so also we cling to the idea. So if we cling to the idea that meditation is supposed to be tranquil, say, we have this ignorant view of tranquility as being this at least semi-permanent state of being that we can somehow construct, enter into, and maintain, um, irrespective of any conditions changing in our environment or within ourselves. We can keep this tranquility in being and hold it in being. And that's what meditation is. Well, if that's your idea of what meditation is, you're going to be extraordinarily unhappy, burdened, frustrated, tense each and every time you meditate. Because either you will experience the tranquility, and then there's the fear of the loss of the tranquility, and therefore the exercise of control to try to keep the tranquility, or the tranquility is absent, and there's sadness and wailing and bemoaning and depression because you can't get what you want.
Mm. Yeah.
As soon as you realize that meditation has no quality. It has no specific quality it's supposed to be. It is merely resting in the moment, content to note whatever arises, including states of mind. Tranquility arises, and we can note it. We note its transient nature. We note that it arises due to conditions and ceases. So the loss of tranquility doesn't cause us suffering. The arising of tranquility is seen and understood to be merely the coming together of appropriate conditions. If the conditions are there, tranquility arises. If the conditions are not there, tranquility does not arise. And there's one specific quality that ensures that tranquility does not arise, and that's resistance. So if there's craving, if there's craving for tranquility, there's no possibility of tranquility arising. And what we get instead of frustration and irritation. And then we react to the instead of just noting the frustration and irritation, we react to those and resist those, ignoring the fact that they're arising due to conditions and ignoring the fact that they're transient. Yeah. Whereas when you give up control, when you say, well, I don't actually have control over which mental states arise, I don't have control over what sounds and sensations and thoughts and memories and the rest of it. So I'll just sit here and note them. Then gradually you get to deeply understand Jackie's quote. It's not that you get rid of the things you find to handle. What you get rid of is finding them hard to handle, because you know that they're transient. You know that they are ungraspable, that they're not self, they're uncontrollable.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Jim. Leslie, you've got your hand raised as well. Nice to see you.
Greetings. What I was going to say was simply that we were trying to make things different from what they were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could have just come to you, Leslie. Instead, I ranted for 5 minutes.
But you explained it better than what I did.
Good job. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it does simplify. I mean, it is a lot of Jackie's quotes. They appear simple on the surface, but actually they're very deep. And our aversion, our unwillingness to accept the existence of unwanted states of mind or unwanted experiences lies at the root of our unhappiness. And it goes very, very deep. The roots of craving go very, very deep indeed. But if you persist with the mindful noting, you come up against all your resistances. You start to see them and recognize them, and you recognize, oh, it's not the thing, it's the resistance to the thing. It's not the suffering, first noble truth, it's the second noble truth. The cause of suffering is craving based in ignorance. And so the more mindfulness and mindful noting that we generate, the less ignoring there is, the less mental blindness there is. We start to recognize the transient, unsatisfactory, selfless nature of experience, and we let go. And you find, well, it's not the sound of that person talking or snoring or whatever. It's my relationship to it. And so if I start to adapt my relationship to experience rather than trying to control experience, I adapt my relationship to it. I adapt the narratives around experience. Instead of saying this is a problem, I say this is helping me reach my destination. Yeah? You have the ability to adapt the way that you relate and respond to events rather than trying to control the events. And gradually you start seeing more and more deeply that I do not need to control. Annie, hello.
Good evening, Paul.
How are you?
You can hear me, yeah?
I can hear you. I was just asking how you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't answer that one, Paul. I just wanted to say thank you for last time we met, because it really was helpful at the end of the meeting. You said it's okay to be confused. It's okay not to know. It's okay not to understand. I really found that. So thank you for that. I'm just making a list of. I think, what was the question about what makes things difficult? That's right. And I was putting not being able to make sense of things. I mean, doubt is a huge. That's one of the fetters. Is that right? Or
Yeah, it's one of the fetters, one of the hindrances. It's one of our favourite strategies. Yeah.
Oh, loss of objects. I mean, tiny little things. I mean, I don't need to go into detail, but just before the meeting, lighting the candle with the match, and the top of the match, the little black bit on the fell on the floor, and of course, I thought, I actually did. I have found it now. Diseases that happen to bodies, cancer, dementia, being overwhelmed by too much information, be it sensory or ideas. And again, just the fear of harm, contamination, infection, creating a condition which could cause an accident. I'll leave it at that.
Respectfully, those are the things you find hard to handle.
Oh, yes, among others, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm sure the list is long. But the quote is, it's not that you get rid of the things that you find hard to handle. What you get rid of is finding them hard to handle.
Good, yeah, good quote, yeah.
So so essentially what you've done is list items in the Buddha's first noble truth. The life is suffering.
Yeah.
Birth is suffering. Given that we're born in the first place, there is old age, decay, and death. There will be, therefore, grief, sorrow, lamentation, pain, and despair. There will be being united with the things that we do not like. There will be the loss of the things that we love, and there will be the frustration of not being able to get hold of the things we want. That, and then you add into the mix his higher teaching and the fact that the aggregates subject to clinging are suffering, and you have the entirety of the human experience. But he's saying that needs to be understood. The only way we can understand things is to allow these things to happen. And it's through allowing them to happen and then watching them very, very clearly, we understand them. We understand their transient nature. We understand their uncontrollable nature. And we start to see and recognize that it's actually the second noble truth, which is the cause of suffering, which is craving based on ignorance. That is the finding it hard to handle aspect. Yeah. And so what Jackie's quote is saying is that if you follow the path to its conclusion, what you get rid of is not the things of life, but finding it hard to deal with the things of life. That's what you get rid of.
Yeah, the ignorance is a big one, I think.
Well, it is rather.
I mean, generally, just...
But remember, it is ignoring.
Rather than knowing.
It is a not knowing, but the not knowing, it's not seeing and not knowing. So it is a mental blindness, and it is volitional. We deliberately turn away from reality. So, for instance, when we employ one of these strategies, so if somebody enters into fantasy or daydream, for instance, that's normally because they feel overwhelmed by life, and I completely understand that. And the strategy is, well, I can turn away for a little while and get some peace by entering into a different reality that I create for myself. And, it's completely understandable, but that means we've turned away from, we are actively ignoring reality in favor of another reality that we create. And so it becomes a strategy, and it becomes a habit. And I think it's really important to honor those strategies, not to despise them, not to hate on them, not to feel that we shouldn't have been doing them, but just to acknowledge compassionately a bit of self-compassion is like, yeah, I enter into these strategies. Doubt, as you mentioned, is another one. It's entirely understandable that people will recoil in that way and will resist sort of entering fully into something until they know what the result is going to be, because they don't want to, they don't want to put themselves at risk in any way. It's a strategy to try to keep us safe. And I think we should honor that and respect that. Doesn't mean we have to employ it now. And in actual fact, the more we experience, say, something like doubt with a loving attitude, an honorable attitude, the easier it is to slip out of its clutches on this occasion. And again, it's going back to Jackie's quote. It's not that you get rid of the things you find hard to handle. What you get rid of is finding them hard to handle. So if we're willing to expose ourselves to these strategies, we become more familiar with these strategies, we become more accepting of the tendency, we find them less hard to handle. We understand them more. The more you note doubt as doubt, the more you note confusion as confusion, whatever it might be, actually the easier they become to handle, if that makes sense. Does that cover it, Annie? Or was there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yes, I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and which obviously is very much to do a strategy, which and so I've noticed, the last, it doesn't matter really, the last couple of days, and that's really, I'm doing a lot of rituals, and I see the place of rituals. I see this whole thing, that people need to do something, which is like a magical thinking, because, you're thinking, God, I'm this is all too much,
Yeah, in Buddhism, we call it attachment to rule and ritual.
Yeah, I'd rather not have it. I don't really want
it. Well, the way to not have it is to accept that you have it.
Yeah,
and to see the operation is to be compassionate towards yourself. It's a strategy that you've employed over many years. It has served you. It might be now that you're reaching a point where you're going, well, it has served me, but now I don't require it. But it's through this gentle acceptance and honoring that strategy, not fighting it, but acknowledging, I'm doing it again. I'm doing the strategy again. Oh, lovely to see you again. And it's gradually just reaching that point where you're acknowledging it and reaching the point where you're saying, yes, I've acknowledged it. Now I don't need to act on it further. And I know it's a long road, and I appreciate that. And there's no easy, quick fix. But it is through this gradual process of allowing and accepting the tendency, but not identifying with it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Annie. Lovely to see you. Who was next? Leslie, you came back. You had another observation?
Yes, it's a case of it's admitting to yourself that what is causing the problem, because it's recognizing that there is a problem, or like anger, frustration. You get lost in the anger because you haven't spotted that moment where you can sort of like step back from it and see it as anger and just recognize it as the anger and let it be. You sort of get lost into the anger before you recognize it, and then it's a sort of case of, missed it.
But you haven't missed it though, because if you say to yourself, I've missed it, you've actually just seen it.
Yeah, but yeah.
No, yes, that's the golden moment. Whether it's in meditation or out of meditation, that is the golden moment. And instead of acknowledging that mindfulness has returned, even if it's in hindsight, even if it's subsequent to events, you look back and you go, oh, it's because I got caught up with the anger. That is still a legitimate recognition of, the facts of what was unfolding. That was mindful noting. And so in that moment, we've actually rediscovered our mindful noting again, and we've used it to berate ourselves. quite unnecessarily. I mean, everyone does it. Oh my gosh, I have such a hard time. The number of times over the last 25 years I've explained this to people. Because that's the golden moment, Leslie. That's the moment when you've actually seen what was taking place, even if it's in hindsight. Yes, and your explanation is spot on. Because there wasn't the mindfulness at that time, because there wasn't the recognition of what it was, one gets embroiled in it. Brilliant. That little chink, that little drop of water in the bucket, over time you go, oh yes, okay. So this is, I go back to what the Buddha said about the first noble truth. Suffering is to be understood. That's why we practice mindful noting of it. You see what I'm saying? So your understanding of the process of anger is getting keener and keener. Even if it doesn't matter that we get caught up in this bit or that bit, that's fine. We all get caught up in stuff, my goodness. But it's that moment when we recognize it. Instead of going down the berating ourselves because it was there, it's actually honoring the fact that it was there and going, yes, I've seen it. Brilliant.
Okay.
Does that help, Leslie?
Thank you. Yeah. It's getting caught in that loop again all the time.
Come on, let's get caught in it some more.
Okay, thanks.
David.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
What are some skillful strategies we can develop to gain insight into anxiety and frustration?
Okay, let the anxiety and the frustration be there. You're not going to understand them in any other way. Having successfully observed the anxiety or the frustration or whatever it might be, having perhaps reflected on the fact that these are indeed strategies that we have employed to keep us safe, or to motivate us, or to give us some respite from the overwhelm of life. Whatever the strategy was for, we've acknowledged it. We see that in this moment we don't particularly wish to carry on with it, and at that point it's possible to change the narrative. But you've already changed the narrative. If somebody is saying, okay, this anxiety is here, I'm going to experience it, that mere act, that is a transformation in outlook, which is saying, instead of saying anxiety is this bad thing that society says is bad, and if you've got anxiety, then there's something wrong with you, you're suddenly saying, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. This anxiety is not me. It's not myself. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define what is actually unfolding in my experience. It is, however, happening. And so I'm going to watch carefully. I'm going to allow it. I'm going to note it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to honor it. An honored guest. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Then you've sort of managed to stop grasping it a little bit. You've managed to get your fingers to relax and just let go a little bit and allow that experience to be there. You realize that it's just sensation and certain kinds of thinking. It's got this sense of doom. If it's anxiety, it's got this sense of impending doom with it. But what does that even relate to? And it's at that point, then you can say, okay, well, how else can I think about life? What do I like about what's unfolding in my experience? What's going well for me? What's going well for my family? What can I be grateful for? What can I express gratitude for? What can I think about that in friendly terms? Who can I think about in friendly terms? What do I like about the Buddha? What do I like about his teaching? that narrative will then become extraordinarily powerful, can become extraordinarily powerful if as long as there is the prior acceptance of the anxiety and not fighting it, not pushing it away. So, David, I can't see you, so I don't know what kind of reaction I'm getting from you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am typing what you're saying and focusing. I don't have a camera on this computer.
No, that's okay. It's not. No, that's fine. It's just I don't know what your reaction is. Are you okay? Are you extraordinarily mad with me? I don't know what
No,
what your reaction is.
I'm sorry. I'm just very quiet and reflecting on what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, we put this up on YouTube as well, so you can always catch up with it then.
Right.
It's good form just to listen to Dharma. You can always write it up later when we post the video.
Yeah. So it does go back to the teachings on right effort. And I think that's what I've gathered from what you're saying is that by focusing on beautiful states of mind and those mental factors, you can, evoke those, like, for example, gratitude and relaxing is kind of like a flexibility and openness and spaciousness of mind.
Look,
And those things are
you didn't do the first bit. You only talked about the second bit.
right, right. Sorry, the honor and to allow the anxiety and frustration.
Yeah. Because if you try to do the second part without having done the first part, it won't work.
Okay.
However, if you do the first part, which is the part that people don't want to do, they just want to skip to the second part. I understand that. But if you do the first part and you're willing to just acknowledge what's there and not push it away, experience it. Because when you actually do that, you realize there isn't an awful lot there. And it's it's the resistance. I write in my book about it's like a Tom and Jerry cartoon where I think Jerry sees this huge shadow of this huge monster coming towards him, and then it turns out to be, Tom with a frying pan or something with his furry sleeves rolling his sleeves up, and and it's like when we actually, because the resistance is so strong, when we resist, we ignore, and so we're not. It's like we're not willing to look at what it is that we're actually being confronted with, or what guest has come to visit. And then when we finally, usually through lack of viable alternative, finally go, all right, well, I'll look at it then. Okay. We realize it's not the thing we thought it was at all. It's not the huge, terrible monster that's going to devour us. It's just like a little mouse. And oh, thank goodness for that. Really, there's not a lot. If you actually really get into observing an anxious state, and you appreciate the difference between the anxious state and the resistance which keeps on perpetuating it and making it appear bigger and bigger, and you just look at what the actual anxiety consists of, it's so ephemeral. There's hardly anything there.
I see. Thank you.
And again, we're back to the same thing. Yeah, thanks, David. We're back to the same thing, which is understanding suffering.
Okay. I'll keep it in mind and remember to honor and allow it first.
Yes. That'll make a huge difference.
Okay.
And we're up against it as practitioners because the whole of society, our culture, is telling us, oh no, if you've got something like that, you need to go to the doctor, you need to sort yourself out there. And I'm not for one moment suggesting that it's nothing and it's, but as meditators, in the context of following Buddha's teaching, the more you look into this, the more you recognize how ephemeral these states are, and the more you recognize that it is the resistance to them which is the problem. But society will not agree with us. society will say, "Oh no, you've got to. Oh no, we've got a whole industry based on helping you deal with anxiety. So we've got to keep it going. If no one's got anxiety, then that whole business model falls flat, doesn't it?"
Yeah, it does.
Thanks, David. So there we are. It's not that you get rid of the things you find hard to handle. You get rid of what you get rid of is finding them hard to handle. Has anybody got any other questions they'd like, or subjects they'd like us to cover? Mandy, hello.
Hi there. Hi, Paul.
Hey.
I'm wondering, would you say that it would be helpful, though, to understand why you should honor them, why they have been helpful in the past?
Oh yes. You can consider that without, as long as it's done without the attempt to resolve them. Because they've got to be given the freedom to arise. All right, so an example would be fantasy, daydream, as a way of avoiding the sometimes overwhelming nature of existing. And that can become a habit, and it can be something that the mind turns to very, very easily. But if you understand that it was actually a way of trying to deal with the overwhelm of life, that makes it easier then to just accept its existence when it does arise.
Yeah, but you say the difference is to not immediately try to change it, to get rid of it.
If it's an honored guest, no. That's an awful thing to do to an honored guest.
Yeah.
Bring them in, sit them down, and they say, "You've got to change."
Yeah, thanks for the poem, by the way. That could be, that's the Rumi poem you gave me.
Yes, the guest house. I put it up on my Facebook page as well because
okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful poem that really sums this up very well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Helpful.
Yeah, you don't, to an honored and esteemed guest, you wouldn't immediately tell them to get out or go away or that they have to change.
No, you try to get to know them, eh? You try to get to know where you're from. What happens in your past? Tell me something about you, and then
because if you allow these previously unwanted hindrances, if you allow them to be there, but under your mindful, clear comprehension of them, then the reason that you do them becomes really, really obvious. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Mandy. Anyone else like to have a chat? All right, this person had another question. When seeing conditionality, would that mean seeing that each object arises of its own accord, as well as that each object arises dependent on another object? Nothing arises of its own accord. Okay, so the Buddha's teaching on conditionality is that nothing exists separate from anything else. So the way it's often stated is this being that arises. Is that, I got that right? This being, when this is, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this is not, that does not come to be. With the ceasing of this, that ceases. Right? So everything that arises because of something else. So nothing stands alone. And that's really important to understand because it, as you see it clearly in your meditation practice, it has the effect of correcting the misperception that this is me, this is mine, this is myself. So it gives you a deep perception into the truth of not self. So ordinarily we think, yes, there's a sound over there. The sound over there is not me, but it is me that hears, right? But actually, hearing only arises because the conditions allow it and because there's a sound to be heard. If there's no sound, that moment of hearing does not arise. So when this is, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this is not, that does not come to be. With the ceasing of this, that ceases. And so as the insight deepens, you comprehend that everything is being originated in real time. It is being constructed in real time and ceases in real time. Nothing passes through time. And all that constructing is happening without the necessity for a self, some separate entity that is the experiencer. There is experiencing, there is experience, there is consciousness, there is all the things we've been talking about tonight. There's happiness, tranquility, peace, there's annoyance, frustration, irritation, there are pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, there are sights and sounds and tastes and touches and smells. Everything that we can readily apprehend and comprehend does exist, albeit momentarily. It's all there. We can find it all. Everything that's required for a conscious experience to occur, including these conditional forces, can all be noted, seen, understood, and comprehended. The one thing nobody ever finds, ever, is this mythical self that the ignorant mind attaches to conscious experience. And that's what warps everything. That's what creates this sense of division and alienation and separation, and then all the struggles and fights and problems of human beings trying to somehow find lasting happiness. So, and all it requires is the willingness to keep on mindfully noting what's taking place in your experience. At whatever level, at whatever point you're at, you're just noting what you can note, not trying to note what you can't note or what you don't see, not trying to find things, but just noting literally what's there. And it's just your willingness to persist with this over the days, the weeks, the months, the years. And gradually you gain insight, deeper insight into the nature of conditionality. And it is truly liberating. It is entirely liberating to know that you don't control anything. The moment you let go, everything can just flow and flow beautifully. The moment self-concern enters the scene, the moment, that craving for things to be different occurs, then the separation appears, the burden arises, the sense of disillusionment, the sense of being unfulfilled, the sense of something being missing. And so, gradually you deepen your comprehension, your understanding, your wisdom to the true nature of reality until finally everything has been looked at, everything has been seen, and you recognize that everything is arising due to conditions. And there's no self in any of it or required in any of it. It all works beautifully. This moment is unfolding beautifully. Doesn't require that control. So that was my answer to that. I hope that's what the suitable response. Everything arises due to conditions. Anyone got any thoughts or questions they'd like to talk about? Mandy.
My response to even physically to what you say, like everything is, what did you say? Everything is developing beautifully, or everything is developing beautifully, you said. Did you? Was that the right word? Anyway, the word beautifully, and I think, how can the negative events, how can I how can I say those things are developing or happening beautifully? You know, and I understand that the world happens beautifully, things happen beautifully, but how can negative events, I still find that very hard. I feel a big resistance.
Well, there you go. And how
Yeah,
does
I
that
know.
how does that resistance make you feel?
Cringe, like my body, uh, I feel it in my body. I feel it in doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So you note those.
Yeah, I know, I do.
Okay. What comes up next?
Trying to understand and trying to accept kind of rationally.
What comes up next?
Hmm. Ignorance, like, okay, just leave it. No, not just leave it. I see. Okay, I
How
will
are
find
you?
out. I
All
will
right. Well,
find
how are you
out.
going to
I will
solve that?
find out.
How?
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
which is which is the difference between an open mind and a closed mind.
yeah. No, it's not a closed mind, but it's
No. Well, hear me out.
yeah, yeah.
It's the difference between an open mind and a closed mind. Says I cannot possibly see how. In which case, to be honest, whoever says that to me, I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. And I'm not really particularly interested in teaching them because I know their mind's closed.
Yeah.
But if somebody says, oh, wow, I struggle with that, but I recognize that there's a way forward here, which is continuing to mindfully note what's taking place. And perhaps if I do that, then these things will become clear to me.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess that's
because I mean, like the way that you discover the great perfection, as they call it in Tibetan Buddhism,
mm,
is not through trying to rationalize.
no,
It's through the continued exploration of conscious experience through mindful noting. So, so it's like as long as somebody has an open enough mind to do that, that means they have sufficient faith in the teaching, in the Buddha. They have sufficient faith in life that there has to be a reason why everything is the way it is, and that, or that it is my own ignorance which stops me from understanding the great perfection. It's not a problem with the teaching. Yeah, that's the big difference.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If somebody has a problem with the teaching, fine. It's like,
I think maybe, Paul, that's behind how you say that. I think that's maybe my first thoughts. How can I explain that to other people? How can I? And that keeps on,
honestly,
like
Mandy,
the
just
narrative is in my mind. Like I have to
Who do you
Yeah,
have to justify
I
it?
know.
When I came into full-time training, I wanted to be free of suffering. I didn't care what anyone else thought.
Yeah, that's brave of you.
It's not brave when there's no option.
Do
And
our minds then so much what other people say? Is that then
I cannot
behind that?
control how people perceive me.
No.
I can't control, in this moment, I cannot control how 31 other people perceive me. If I cared so much about how other people perceive me, I wouldn't be doing this. Because you're just putting yourself in the firing line, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
The only way I can do it is because I don't mind what you think.
Yeah.
It's not minding what people think which allows me to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. It's not just you, Mandy. I understand it. It's not just you. But this teaching runs against the stream, the worldly stream, the worldly ideas about how things are and how things should be. It completely undermines it. And so I completely understand why you would feel the compulsion to try to be able to explain it to other people, but you don't have to.
Especially people who are suffering a lot. And I think, and then I come and tell them everything is happening beautifully, and I think I still can't do that. That's my problem.
But seen from my perspective, Mandy, you're suffering terribly.
Am I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I still tell you. And all I'm doing is expressing what I have found to be so through following this way. And everyone is free to go, oh, no.
Yeah.
That can't be right. But for me, what prompted and made me persist along this path was I needed to be free of suffering. I could not stomach it anymore. I needed to understand the true nature of reality.
I guess you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That's for everyone to make their own decision about that. Because in the end, it wasn't even about, my teacher Alan being right. I knew he understood, and I knew he was the highest quality teacher I could possibly find. But even in that analysis, I wasn't going to leave it for him to tell me what was right and wrong. I needed to find out myself.
Yeah.
So I understand. I understand people's concern. How when there's all this, but every teaching suffers from that. Like Christianity suffers from that. How could God let all this happen to me? It's like, well, we are investigating the true nature of suffering. That is what we are doing through this practice. We're coming to understand how and why it is that people experience what they experience, because we are going through the human experience ourselves. And we're coming to an understanding of suffering and a recognition that the cause of suffering is the passionate desire for life to be different than it is. And it's, because it's kind of like you go through the teaching, you explain it. You explain how suffering arises because of craving for life to be different than it is. It's basically ignoring. And that when you've completely understood through following the path, you realize the great perfection of life. And then people go, well, if life's so perfect, then how come there's all this suffering? And you go, oh, I just explained it. I explained it in depth. And that's the tendency. The tendency is for people not to actually listen, but to just recoil and go back into their fixity.
Yeah.
They're not ready. They're not ready to explore.
No, especially most often the response has something to do with taking away their ambitions or their wish, their longings for things to happen.
What lies behind their longings?
Yeah, that's great. There's.
What are people looking for?
I don't know. They're quite.
You do know.
It
We
sounds
all
like
know.
they're anxious to lose the craving. No, not the craving. They're like it's dull or something. Like if you think life is like this, then that's dull. Then I can't long for anything. Then I don't have any ambition. Then I shouldn't
I wonder
crave for
what it is
things.
about the words "the great perfection" that people find so dull.
Yeah, maybe I don't explain it
this
too
is their
well.
ignorance. This is people's ignorance. This is people fast asleep. They don't recognize the infinite mystery. They don't see it. And so all they've got is their little prison cell. And so it's like you're saying, it's like, well, life outside this prison cell seems very dull.
hmm hmm
It's because people are locked into their ignorance.
Yeah.
And they don't want to come out. Like, this is the incredible thing. It's like the more you wake up out of the dream, and you see the infinite mystery expressing itself in all these incredible ways. It's like, yeah, to the person entirely still caught up, you appear extraordinarily boring and dull. But to the person who has woken up, every breath, every moment, every light shining, everything that occurs is an expression of the infinite mystery. There's no dullness.
Yeah.
I haven't been bored since 2006.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, Paul.
Yeah, and it is a lack of imagination on people's parts. They cannot conceive of the transcendent. They're locked
Yeah.
in the material.
Narrative, yeah.
And the only way they can gain any temporary satisfaction is through the exercise of their longings. Or actually, what they're truly looking for is the cessation of suffering. When somebody indulges the senses, there is a little chunk of time where there's no resistance. There's no more hankering, no more longing.
Yeah, there's a lot of dopamine.
No more thirsting. They're sated temporarily. And so it's like a little mini nibbana.
Yeah.
Like the temporary cessation of suffering. But then what happens is, of course, that's a fleeting, transient experience, which they want to get back again. And that, for most people, is the extent of their world. They can't, that's the box they're in, and they can't, they don't even conceive that there is something outside of that.
Thank you. Yeah. Maybe I should be careful explaining to whom I'm trying to explain things.
I mean, I should be as well, I think. But yeah, leave it. You know, you don't feel compelled. Don't feel that you have to explain it to anyone.
No.
You just go down the path that feels right for you, that speaks to you, that resonates with you, that your heart opens to.
Yeah.
And follow that and find out where it takes you.
I'm learning. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, like even the Buddha was, you know, there are people that wouldn't accept it coming from the Buddha. That's an historical Buddha. So what chance have we got?
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Mandy. All right, everyone. That's it for this evening. Thank you very much. Have a lovely festive period, wherever that's happening for you, in whatever way. And do keep up the practice. That's the most important thing. Keep up the mindful noting. That's the way forward. And yeah, we will send out the newsletter in end of January with all the dates for the spring meetings. And we'll reconvene in February. Okay. Take care.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Great discussion. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
Okay.
Paul.
Lovely.
See
Thank
you
you,
all
Paul.
soon. Bye-bye.